Sorry about that, Adam. It's 12 o'clock noon. This is our regularly monthly scheduled meeting of the Bradley County Planning Commission. Welcome, everyone. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome back Bentley Thomas, back as where he needs to be and should be. Thank you, Bentley, for accepting the role to come back, and also as the mayor's co-assistant along with Adam Lewis, and thank you for your service. We also want to thank Ron Wilson for all he did for the commission and the committee as well, and his hard work for the county. I want to welcome our two new board members, Commissioner Josh Rogers down here. Welcome, Josh. Glad to have you aboard. And Randy Howard down there, everybody knows him as the gas man probably. So welcome aboard. We're glad to have you guys part of the committee. This time I'll open up the meeting with the approval of our last meeting's minutes. Is there any additions, corrections, or deletions anyone would like to add? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes? We have a motion. Do I have a second by Max? All right. Who's acting as our secretary? Are you acting as secretary? Would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mel Griffin, Doug Haywood, Janie Bishop, Max Phillips, Keith Jones, Richard Burnett,
Yes.
Blake Mantooth, Josh Rogers,
Yes.
Randy Howard.
Yes.
Okay, we do have a quorum for our meeting there, so thank you all. All right, our first order of business is the final plat for the re-subdivision of the property of Bert Leckie, Michael and Rachel Birnbaum, Jessica Leckie, and Michael Carver. Is there anyone like to speak on behalf of that property or against that? Is there any discussion, questions from the committee?
Well, with this one, the only thing you're approving is the private road and the 2-acre tract. The rest of the tracts are over 5 acres, but Dole is drawing them on here. But it's pretty, they're just reconfiguring the layout of the 5-acre tract.
That's correct. Is there any other discussion? Entertain a motion to accept or deny? Keith made a motion. Do I have a second? Second for Randy. All right, would you call the roll?
Mel Griffin, Griffith, I'm so sorry. Doug Haywood, Max Phillips,
Yes.
sorry. Keith Jones, Richard Burnett,
Yes.
Josh Rogers,
Yes.
Randy Howard.
Okay, motion is passed. Our next plat is for the final plat of Paul Finley property, lots 3 through 6. Would anyone like to speak on behalf or against that in the audience? No? Bentley?
This is a simple 4-lot subdivision off of Blue Springs Road. As y'all know, anything over two lots has to come to the Planning Commission. That's why it's here.
And it meets all requirements?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is there any questions or discussion from the committee? We entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All right, would you call the roll?
Mel Griffith, Max Phillips,
Yes.
Keith Jones, Richard Burnett,
Yes.
Josh Rogers,
Yes.
Randy Howard.
Okay, motion passes. Our next item of business is the rezoning request. The first item is for the property of Jeremy Newberry on 4050 Spring Place Road. You can see the map and parcel number there from FAR to Rural 1 R1 Residential. Is there anyone that speaks on behalf of the property? Recognize, would you come up to the podium and state your name, please?
Ben Berry with Berry Engineers. So this rezoning request is for the purposes of a new subdivision. As we look at the property, just to kind of orient you and get you familiar with the property boundaries, it fronts Spring Place Road, Goodwin Road, and Ball Road is on the side. From familiar, it's the old Fat Cat trucking property that's been in the front. The property on Ball, as far as the uses around the property, we have a mobile home park to the north, along with some residential homes on the north side of Ball Road. We have a Dollar General on the other side of Spring Place Road, pretty convenient for a new neighborhood as far as services go. Behind the property, Ocoee Utility District has purchased a large tract for the purpose of expanding their sewer infrastructure in the city. And that's really one of the things that's important about this site as far as, is it appropriate for a subdivision? Well, it is directly adjacent to a major investment that Ocoee Utility District is making, and really the county commission has supported that effort. They make the investment, but they need customers, and what better customers than the ones right next to where the investment is occurring? So that's really kind of what makes this feasible and viable. We've got great access. A lot of places in the county, you access a road that's 15 feet wide. Here we've got 3 roads, Spring Place Road being a state highway, Goodwin Road is a good road, and then Ball Street on the side, which really won't be accessed primarily. This is going to access off of Spring Place Road. This will be a multi-phase development. It's a large tract. It'll occur over a number of years. In the county, you can think of it, in similar style to Benwood, where you have a phase, you get it built, you have a phase, you get it built. I think most people are familiar with that as far as, the scale and the nature of what this could end up being. From a technical perspective and what we're looking at today, we are asking to rezone from FAR to R1. Now, under FAR, it's Forest Agricultural Residential. So the request is to keep the residential part of that, because subdivisions are already allowed on the property as it exists today. But we want to remove the forestry and the agricultural elements of the zoning. So as this is a multi-phase project, we want to make sure that it ultimately builds out as residential, that we don't end up with other uses that are allowed in the current zoning, which is any agricultural uses, chicken houses, there's shooting ranges are allowed, mobile homes. We want this to be a modern single-family subdivision development through its entirety. It also allows us some flexibility in, creating some open space and, changing the lot sizes, since we have sewer available. So that is really what it comes down to. From my perspective, this is a down zoning. We're already allowed a residential subdivision. We're actually taking out some of the permitted uses that would otherwise be allowed in FAR.
Excuse me, is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of the property? Okay, is there anyone like to speak against the rezoning request? Sir, would you come up and state your name, please?
My name is Mark Runyon.
I think the mic may be out there. If that little silver button on. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, go ahead then. I apologize.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Just have to speak up a little bit.
Mark Runyon. I'm the grandson of Walter Ball. The Walter Lane Ball was on the farm there that Ocoee Utilities recently acquired. So half of it is under their ownership. The other half is still in our family. So if you know, Ball Road is a dead-end road. And as part of our farm, we had chicken houses, 4 chicken houses that the road makes a 90-degree turn, and right at the 90-degree turn, the 4 chicken houses are there, and they're still in operation. And they are currently under a new owner, a young new owner, Tyler Hall. He's been there about a year. He wanted to be here today, but due to commitments to his chicken houses, I told him I would speak for him today. So I come as far as in opposition to, I know that the request as far as today is to, as far as the rezone from agricultural to R1. But I want to speak to the bigger picture as far as what's happening to our farms. I know some on the commission are farmers, and I mean, how many farmers we got in the house? Anybody that's done any farming has to feel that there's a war against farmers. I know I feel more threatened from every direction, literally every direction of what part of the farm we still have, of the encroachment. And my personal opinion, I do not agree with Ocoee Utilities owning 147 acres of my family farm. I think that was a very bad decision. And I don't need to go into the history as far as farmland loss. Tennessee is ranked now number 4 as far as the loss of farmland. And if we do business as usual, we're on a course of, there's no foresight as far as preserving farmland for our future generations. And from a planning standpoint, based on my research, the comprehensive county plan is dated. It lacks the foresight for future planning in the preservation of farmland. And so there's really no guidance. But if we were to follow it as written, this proposal is in direct conflict of those guidelines. For example, Spring Place Road is identified as a rural route. And in that guidance, if you look under agriculture, forestry, rural development goals, the desire is to keep agriculture, agribusinesses as a focal point along these roadways. What's being proposed here is so far out of the character of this property and the surrounding area that it's just going to be out of place. It does not fit the character of this area. As far as the rural R1 zoning, it's in conflict with all of the people that live in this area. People live here because they want to have chickens. They want to have a cow, a pig. This is an attempt to restrict that. How's it gonna impact them in the future? Like Tyler, can he build new chicken houses? Can I build new chicken houses? I intend to farm this land for forever. And this is a direct threat to our way of life. And I thank the commission for hearing our concerns. I just feel that this is, too often we live our busy lives and comes along and we discover these changes and we're left scrambling to prepare for what's coming upon us. And I just want to make it known publicly that we are 100% against this effort of development of this area the way that it's being proposed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me, not to contradict what you said, Mr. Ernie, but thank you for sharing. The property, of course, is currently is zoned as of now forestry, agricultural, and residential. So this would actually take away the forestry and the agricultural part and make it only residential, just to make sure everybody's on the same page there. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak against the rezoning? Yes, sir. Would you come forward and state your name? You have 5 minutes.
My name's Cole Ryer, and I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm just curious with the Ocoee Utilities, is this something they're doing sewers just for this subdivision, or is this growth in the whole area because out there you can't build or anything because land won't perk? And is there any answers to that?
I'm not sure. You'd have to have someone from Ocoee Utilities answer that. I don't know. I can't speak on their behalf. I wish I knew that answer. I'd be glad to give that to you. Yes, sir. Come forth and state your name, please.
Rufus Whaling, and I live on Ball Road, and I mean I have questions as far as the infrastructure goes. Ocoee Utilities, I mean, my understanding was that was a water treatment plant, not sewer. I mean, I don't know if anybody can corroborate that at all, but Volunteer Electric, my power goes out an average of every 2 weeks for hours at a time. I mean, what's the extra strain going to be when we have 600 homes across the street from me? I mean, I have no idea why my power goes out. It can be sunny, goes out. 6 hours later, still no power. I mean, we can bring up the impact to the creek, the wetlands, the flood zones. I mean, how are we going to overcome those, or how are they going to fix that impact to that? And like the gentleman before me said, the land don't perk good. It's called Spring Place Road for a reason. All the springs, all the wetlands, all the underground water, and I mean, so I have concerns about those people that, I mean, we still have a well. I mean, we get city water, but if needed, we can go back to well water. So, I mean, I'm worried about the impact it's going to have on the land.
So that wasn't his phone had a funny ring to it, so I apologize for that. He wasn't screaming at you, so please continue.
But I mean, I feel like those questions need answered before, putting in a, subdivision. And, I'd like to also know how many homes are projected. What's the goal? Is it half-acre lots? Is it, quarter-acre lots? 5-acre lots? I mean, that's the difference between 600 homes and 100 homes. I mean, like I said, my power sure can't handle the extra strain. I mean, there's just no way that happens. So,
Mr. Berry, do you happen to know the number of homes and the size of the lots? Could you answer that question? I don't know.
So, made a few notes, so I'll try to answer as many questions as have come up. This is 100 acres. The density that we're looking at is a little over 2 units per acre. It will be, the rezoning to R1 will allow those to be clustered in an area that's uplands, and so it would leave the wetlands and the streams unimpacted that are in the back. Just a question about Ocoee Utility District. They purchased that property, and they've been doing their own research for several years, but they purchased that property well in advance of this coming to fruition. So they came first with a desire to serve the area. This is coming second. So I would assume that the picture is much bigger than what this development is. The development doesn't start or move forward without assurance from all utility providers that they have adequate capacity. So that'll be part of the due diligence. There's a concern about farmland. I've heard this at County Commission. I think it's a broader concern in the county. I'm of the belief that subdivisions and farmland are not mutually exclusive things, that they can coexist in a county setting. There's very few areas in our county that are able to be developed, and I think that's been alluded to, and it's because of septic issues primarily, and access, but mostly septic. I mean, the septic rules are getting much harder than they used to be, and you have septic failures. You have infrastructure is more expensive, so those lots have to be bigger. It's just not feasible. So this is one of the very few areas that is really just eligible to be developed. And so there's probably not any comfort to someone that has a farm directly next door, but from a county perspective, I don't think this is as big of a threat as it might seem just from this request. So, we talked about the neighbors. There's a mobile home park next door, some single family, some chicken houses in the back on Ball Road. Ocoee Utility District is a neighbor. One of the neighbors sold to Ocoee Utility District for sewer. So we just think it's a really good spot for this kind of development. I think, was there anything else? I tried to make some notes. Was there anything else that might have come up?
I think that answers the questions. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak against this? Okay.
Bring up one more aspect.
Okay, quickly, please.
So, I mean, and part of the infrastructure is also the roadway. I mean, 2-lane road that everybody in Georgia uses to come to Maytag. I mean, that and Dalton Pike, but the 2 lanes and already having as many driveways and outlet roadways that come into Spring Place does create a lot of heavy traffic. It backs up. I mean, everybody trying to get to Truett. I mean, it backs up from the top of the hill at the Macedonia Church. I mean, all the way to the red light at APD 40. I mean, so adding a bunch of extra homes without a roadway to do that. I mean, it's just traffic's already a nightmare. I mean, at those peak travel times. So.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions or discussion among the committee? This time we'll entertain a motion to approve or decline. Yes, come to the microphone and state your name, please.
Yes, my name is Angel Rivera, and I moved out there in 2000. And I came to the States on 77, and I lived in Collegedale. And I saw how the city came and swallowed up Collegedale when we were living in the country. So we moved out to Cleveland, looking for a countryside. I don't want to have to move again because I'm building a city right next to me. Basically, you know, they say they're going to build these houses in the dry land, but where's that water going to run to? To the wetland. Because you got to go somewhere. So it's not going to be a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back to the committee. Is there any other discussion, questions, or motions? Do I hear a motion to approve or decline? Okay, we have a motion to decline. Is there a second? Okay, the motion fails for lack of a second. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second? We have a second. Okay, would you call the roll, please? Oh. Just speak loudly.
Max Phillips, Keith Jones, Richard Burnett,
Yes.
Josh Rogers,
Yes.
Randy Howard.
Okay, the motion is approved. By the way, folks, if you do understand that the appeal process is to the county commission, they have the final say as to whether this goes or not. You have the right to appeal this to the county commission, regardless of our decision. They have the final say. Just keep that.
It'll go to the county commission next month on the second Monday at noon will be the work session where it'll be discussed, and then it'll be voted on the third Monday at noon in the same room in here.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, the next order is a rezoning request for Ron Calfee, Ramona Thompson, Columbus Jones, Hardins Jones, and so on Bentley Pike, Cedar Creek Crossing. Is there someone that would speak on behalf of that property? Mr. Berry, you seem to be popular today.
Yeah, I haven't been in here in months, and now I got 2 in one day, so I'm back. This is remarkably similar to the case that you just heard, just in a different part of the county. Again, to kind of get oriented on the location, hopefully you have a map in front of you. This is on Benton Pike, and it spans between Benton Pike and Hancock Road to the east. So the property has 2 access points onto Benton Pike, which is a relatively very good road for county standards, and Hancock Road, which is also very good. Access is Highway 64. It's just south and directly adjacent to the Chatta Valley Golf Course. Great amenity for a new subdivision coming in. The property to the south of this was recently purchased by the Church of God with their intent to build their assembly. I'm not very familiar with the details. I just know that they've purchased that for intent to build an assembly place there of some sort. So, great neighbors for somewhere to have some density in the county. This is a little bit larger than the previous case that we heard in acreage, but it's very similar as far as development style. Again, think of Benwood, English Oaks, kind of how that's developed over time. That's really what we're looking at here. You have an access off of Bent Pike, you have an access off of Hancock Road. What makes this project viable is, again, sewer infrastructure that has been heavily discussed throughout the years at the County Commission and heavily supported, both financially and with some ARAP funds and ARP funds, and through the Ocoee Utility District's efforts. There's sewer on Benton Pike that will be extended. The Church of God, I believe their intent is to use that for their assembly. It can be extended to this next property with the subdivision, and then ties into their treatment plant that's behind their existing office currently. So it all kind of goes to that point. The zoning request is, again, very similar. It's zoned FAR. Residential is allowed as a permitted use. Residential subdivision is allowed as permitted use. We're asking to go to R1, which removes the forestry and agricultural elements, removes the possibility of future phases turning into agricultural uses, chicken houses, mobile homes, gun ranges, all that kind of thing. There is a residential subdivision next door, single family, so that property zoned R1, which is exactly what we're requesting. It's very similar, just two different requests.
Are there any questions of Mr. Berry from the committee? Okay, thank you, Mr. Berry. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak against the rezoning request? Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am, right here in the front. She raised her hand first, sir. I'll let her go first, and then we'll recognize you. If you come forward and state your name, please.
Christina Kessler. One, I want to note that there's no rezoning sign on the property, and there has not been. And I believe that that's in your rules and stipulations, that it has to be posted as a request for rezoning for a certain portion of time. Is that like 30 days before you vote? Well, there's no sign. It's not been, I drive by there almost every day. That's not been there. My parents live on the property across the street, little less than 20 acres. They've lived there for over 30 years. They've built their home there. They have not seen a sign. My brother and his family drive by there every day. They have not seen a sign. I'm not saying that you didn't put it out there. It got stolen very quickly.
Well, I'll get one back out there today.
Thanks, Bentley. Another couple of things, to my point, my family built their home here over 30 years ago. They have a very nice property. Recently, the property across the street, as you guys mentioned, was purchased by the Church of God for the assembly. The other day, they had their whatever you call it when you bless the property, and over 400, I don't know, not maybe 400. My parents couldn't get into their driveway because of the traffic. Traffic is an issue. When you pull out of their driveway, you better hit the gas fast, or you're going to get run over by the Polk County traffic. It's the only other major thoroughfare from Polk County to Cleveland besides 64 Highway. It's a heavy trafficked area. So any increase in the number of homes out there is only going to make it worse. So then, are you guys going to come out and say, well, we're going to take part of your property to widen the road? No. So you got to think ahead. Also, there's no sewer on this property. There's no fiber optics. It's very rural. It's always been that way. And I think before you guys start making these decisions, you need to think about the individuals that have built their lives throughout Bradley County, not wanting neighbors. They want their privacy. And you can't just come in and make these decisions and steal it from them. And I'm with the gentleman back here. Our farmland is depleted. You guys are raping our property. I've lived here my whole life. And I live here because I liked how it was. I don't want to have to wait through the traffic light for 5 times. I want to be able to drive down Keith Street and make it in about 5-10 minutes. I don't want it to take 30. And I think that you guys need to consider those things before you make these decisions. Also, I can ask you, Mr. Berry, how many houses are you planning on putting on this? What's the lot size? Okay, because we don't want, a development like the D.R. Horton. And I know that they've been ousted from part of the county, but I didn't know if it was county-wide. The houses in Flagstone subdivision are very nice. They're on larger lots. That would be my expectation. There should also be a buffer for the surrounding properties against Benton Pike. But my main thing is you guys can't vote on this today because the property's not been marked. Do you guys have any questions for me? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Berry, would you answer that question, please, for her?
The overall density is in the neighborhood of 3 units per acre. So,
Sorry, how many acres was that total?
I believe the property's 170 acres.
170, okay, thank you. Yeah, okay, sir, back, yes, sir. Come up, state your name, please, you have 5 minutes.
How you doing?
Good.
My name's Chuck Walter. I live in Flagstone. So getting to that 3 houses per acre, that's gonna put well over 400 homes, am I right? So 2 cars per home. Thank you. So you got 2 cars per household, and then you guys just approved the Tabor Act for Church of God, which is 2,500 people seating. I don't think that road can handle the traffic that you guys are trying to put on it. That's our biggest concern. You know, 3 houses per acre, that's a lot of houses. I think Flagstone, the smallest, is a half an acre. So I think 2 houses per acre would probably be sufficient. But jamming 3 is just gonna add a lot of stress to the road. That's our biggest concern, is getting in and out of our development. We just built there because it was a rural area, and we were thinking that it was gonna stay there for a while. And getting back to poultry homes and everything, poultry houses, I mean, if the people deny that, the poultry people are not gonna put poultry houses on that property. They just won't do it. It'd be too much trouble. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir. Step forward and state your name, please, sir. You have 5 minutes.
My name's Gary Coley. I live at 389 Willow Creek Cove. The back of my property borders the southern edge of this site, if I read this map correctly. So I'm pretty much directly south of the golf course with this development in between us and the golf course. Here representing myself and my son. He lives at 411 Willow Creek Cove, just 2 doors down from me. And I have a lot of questions. Some of them have already been answered as far as the number of homes and number of houses. I live in Willow Creek Cove. We love it there because there's only one way in and one way out. The only people that are in there are people that live there. So we don't have a lot of traffic in and out of there. And we like that. We really like that. We kind of always look out for each other. If we see any suspicious vehicles in the area, we can spot them. So we have a HOA. We have people that's on the lookout all the time for security reasons. I guess one of my concerns is and it's been brought up about the traffic. If you only have was there 1 access or 2 accesses off Benton Pike?
One off Benton Pike, one off Hancock.
Okay, and Hancock, I assume, is down here in the yellow, this down here?
It's on the backside.
Okay, so there's a subdivision on this Hancock, and there's another subdivision that runs off over to this site development. I'm assuming that road's going to be extended. I don't know, but there's you know, for these meetings, this information here is just basically gives you the site, and that's it. It doesn't tell you how many acres are on it. A lot of these questions could have been answered in this whenever you sent this letter out. I mean, if the proposal's already been made or the development knows that there's going to be, you know, 170 acres, put that in your letter. You know, that could cut down on a lot of questions here. So there's 170 acres. There's going to be 1/3 of a lot, so 3 houses per acre. That's over 500 homes. It's going to be really congested there. I don't think it'll affect me a lot because there won't be any access in and out of our development or our neighborhood, but still at the same time, it's going to be bordering my neighborhood. And what's the property value going to do to our neighborhood? Because in Willow Creek Cove, all of the lots are right at an acre, 9/10 of an acre to an acre lot. So you could put 3 houses in this development on one of our lots. And, the people live back there because they like the bigger lots. So I guess another question I have is, are these single-family homes? Are they apartments? Are they duplexes? That's not in the letter either. I'm assuming that R1 residential means single-family homes. I'm assuming that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
it's just single-family homes.
Single-family
R1, you have to go to R2 to have duplexes, townhomes, and multifamily.
I'm not familiar with that, but I'm glad you answered that. Another big concern is there going to be an HOA in this development that would kind of, have restrictions on, what your yard's going to look like, or what other, are you going to have 3 junk cars sitting in it, that's going to affect the neighborhood and the site, different things like that. Is there an HOA as far as that?
That would be up to the developer. We don't have it. We can't regulate whether you have to have an HOA or not.
I know, but the developer is here, so they need to answer that. I guess that's one of my main concerns is just, like I say, I don't think it's going to develop or it's going to affect Willow Creek Cove because there's not going to be any access in and out other than at bordering our property. So I just have a lot of unanswered questions there and concerns, mainly the size of the lots and the number of houses and the traffic.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? We don't regulate that, sir. We just look at the zoning of requests. That's all we have. We don't regulate the size or the dollar, like, a minimum of 1,500 square feet.
Well, my name's Phil Piper. I live in Flagstone that backs up to where this property is. And I got the same concerns as already been stated here. Also wanted to bring up the road situation. Peach Orchard Hill is a bad road to try to come over to. I don't think it's been mentioned here. But along with Benton Pike, Hancock, none of the roads are very good and going to be able to handle, 450 more houses, 500 more houses, along with the church right there also. And to Chuck's point, you got houses that are $700,000 right there. Most of this property runs right alongside of the golf course. If you look at the lower part of it there to the east. So if you're going to have 3 houses, put on an acre right there, they're not going to be $700,000 homes. So, I mean, it will drive all of our property values down. So just take that in consideration for us.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Berry, you had one more comment, please?
Again, trying to make a list so we answer as many questions as we can. They've taken their time to come here, and I want to go ahead and offer that I'll be here after the meeting for any neighbors that want to discuss with me these things any further. It's important to remember what this property is entitled to under current zoning. We have a zoning that gives properties rights as far as what they can develop into as they exist. And so I mentioned it before that what we're asking is actually to remove some of those rights. We're not adding to anything. The current zoning allows residential subdivisions. It allows residential subdivisions with lot sizes of 7,500 square feet. That's 5.8 units per acre at that 7,500 square feet. Our proposal is going to be much less than that. It's at 3. But really, the change from FAR to R1 doesn't change the density of what we can do. The density stays the same. Just if you have a zoning map, I'm sure you probably do, that we sent in. FAR is essentially unzoned property as it exists in the county. I mean, it is zoned FAR, but it's very loose. All of the yellow, which are most of the neighborhoods in the area, that is R1. That is what we're asking for. So Flagstone Golf Course, it is R1. So we are asking for the same thing that is adjacent to us. The only neighbor here in red that's the golf course, their zone commercial. We have talked to them, they're excited about having a neighborhood adjacent to the golf course. So we have talked to them. Even Autumn Drive, or American Drive here at the bottom, it's R1. Fernwood, I think the gentleman was from Willow Creek. You know, Fernwood that goes through, it's R1. A lot of Benwood, a lot of English Oaks. It's when you do a new residential subdivision, it's, in my mind, it's more valuable to go to R1 because it dedicates that land that it will be single family. It won't be triplexes, quadplexes. It won't be anything but a residential subdivision. So I know the changes, people are apprehensive to change overall. I'm that way as well, but the request that we have should actually provide more assurances than what exists today about what will be done to that property next door. So.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Are there any other questions? Is there any comments or discussion among the committee? Okay, we'll open the floor for any motion to approve or deny. Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
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 Okay, motion approves. Once again, folks, you do have the right to appeal the decision to the county commission. Okay, at this time, our next item on there is for training opportunities. Bentley?
Yeah, I found this planning and zoning office hours training by Sam Edwards that's gonna be on MTAS, and it's free, but y'all could get, I mean, there's up to 300 people that'll be on there, but the information's right there. If y'all want me to sign y'all up for it to do it, just let me know.
What is it, Bentley?
It's not till October 7th, but
When?
October 7th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But Sam Edwards is the main lobbyist for the planning organization over in Nashville, and he's written most of the rules and regulations in Title VI and Title 13 that are in TCA. So
Okay.
just thought I want to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, and don't forget, we do have to have, it is required training, so we have to have that. So this will be a good opportunity to get your training done.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I request, Bentley, could you send us like an email or have your office send us an email with all the information on it?
Yeah.
Just the time and the dates and
I know
and
this wasn't a very good.
I know it's on here, but
Yeah.
that way we could just go ahead and put it in our calendars and stuff and
I'll
where
just-
where exactly to like log into and all that kind of stuff. Because I don't.
Could we,
I don't know that it was on MTAS's website yet. They just listed that they were having it, but
Okay.
once I get the login information, I'll email you guys.
That'd be great.
could we
Thank you.
maybe do this joint together, or maybe something like that?
Sure,
Is there a spot?
we could probably ask the Chamber of Commerce if we could use their meeting room again. If
Would
they,
that be
they,
something, would that be something
Yeah,
everybody?
the boardroom, we could use that.
okay.
Would
Yeah,
that
the
be
board-
something everybody tuned to?
I know that would help Dr. Griffith here if we did that for his, I'm not picking on Mel, but he always reminds me I don't do internet, so I'm speaking up on his behalf today, but Bentley, would you check and see if we could get the conference room, or
I'll call
Mr.
Mike.
Lewis, would you check, please, and see if we could get the,
I mean, I think it'd be great to have it.
okay?
That's all I have.
All right, is there anything else for the good of the order? Did you say, I'm sorry. Motion accepted.